Hey guys, welcome to the Super Post Show where we talk all things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. Today, I'm here to talk to you guys about Man Quantumania. I wanted to give a quick review on how I felt about this movie, and then, I'll obviously go into the videos on post-credit scenes and stuff like that. I'll dig real deep in that because a lot happened in this film. But I want to start off with just my first official review of like how I feel about it. Then I'll get into the things I liked and the things I didn't like. I did like this movie. A lot of people that I respected, like the Cosmic Wonder and other people, and even the real rejects, they weren't the biggest fans of this movie. And I'm not gonna say I was worried because I was like, I think I'm still going to like it from all that I read. But I was like, man, like it's crazy how people that I respect don't like this film. I was like, does this mean that like this film is really bad? And after I heard their reviews, I was like, oh, I see why, and because I went into the film viewing it differently than they did, I think that's why I enjoyed it more. And I enjoy this because I viewed this Ant-Man 3 movie as Kang the Conqueror. Like I viewed it as like this movie's about Kang. It's not about Scott Lang. Like Scott Lang's really going to take a back seat in this film, and this is going to showcase our main villain of the next couple phases. And that's really what this film did, and I loved it, like I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It was a great movie to me. If I was to rank it out of 10, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I think it was a great movie. And to me, that's where I put all of the Ant-Man films. I put them all in that 7, 8 range. Ant-Man is not going to be an A-list character. He's not an A-list character, and that's fine. The movie was still good. So I'm going to get into some good things I liked about the movie and some bad things, and I'm going to give you some other takeaways. So first off, here are some good things about Ant-Man that I like. So first off, I really liked Scott Lang in the role that he played in this film, because he was kind of put in this movie as the person that's going to drive the story, and the way that I see it is that like the movie started and ended with him, and the heavy climaxes were with him in it. So even though there were a bunch of other parts where it ended up becoming about other characters, Scott was still to an extent the focal point, or one of the main focal points between him and Kang the Conqueror, which I really enjoyed.
Cassie
is the heart and soul of this movie. Obviously we have a new actress. She was the heart and soul of this film, and I don't really have any complaints. I think Wasp played the perfect role. A lot of reasons why people didn't like this movie, or like a part of this movie, was because a lot of people didn't like the backseat that Wasp took in this movie. In my opinion, I think that she took the perfect like backseat. So I kind of feel like she was like in and out of the film, being like a part of a lot of main things. But to me, the ending, and spoiler alert, right, when she comes, like Scott and Kang are fighting, Kang's beating the crap out of Scott, and she comes back to save Scott. That to me like is fine. Like that to me is like, okay, I see why they made her take the back seat, because they wanted to give her this big part in the end, and I'm totally fine with that. And I loved it, And honestly, things had to change because the last film was all about Wasp, So I like that there was kind of a switch up, and Evangeline Lilly still played a heavy role in the film without being like one of the main focal points of this film. Another thing, Kang the Conqueror is pitch perfect. I mean, Jonathan Majors, this guy did a heck of a job. And I will say that Jonathan Majors did a heck of a job playing Kang the Conqueror. I think this is one of the best villain depictions that we've seen on screen. And I think that Jonathan Majors nails this role to a T. To a T. The voice, the suit is immaculate. I mean, dude, this whole Kang the Conqueror took over this movie, and the fact that we got to see that, bro, was crazy, and not to mention that Kang, the way that Kang talks about time is very interesting as well, and with the fact that we got to see He Who Remains and Loki, and we're kind of seeing how all of this is kind of linking together, it is also like awesome. I really like the time chair too. I didn't like the time chair when I first saw it in pictures. I was like, I'm not a big fan of the way that the time chair is shaped. Now seeing it in action in the movie, perfect. It's a great movie. Great time chair. Now, this movie is really about Kang and Janet, and I like that because at the end of the day, Janet is the one that was in the quantum realm for 30 years, right? So obviously she had to be, you know, in this, like, a focal point in this film. And I honestly like the fact that she was a focal point, because there is a lot of mystery to her as a character. And as we see in the movie, she didn't really tell them, you know, like what happened in the quantum realm. So I'm happy that, you know, we got to see her back in the quantum realm and kind of being like the guide, you know, for everyone else in the movie. And I think that played a perfect part. And that's a big reason why Hope had to take a back seat, because of that reason. Another good thing is that I think this gives a perfect setup for the Avengers. And as I said, the post-credit scene, which I'll do a whole other video about, but I'll glaze over real quick, spoiler alert. Obviously, we get the Council of Kings. I think that we get, as I said, this is another perfecto setup. So I'm happy with that as well. So now let's get into the bad things. I mean, I do think that the speed of the movie was very weird. I felt like the movie, like, there would be moments where, like, it would be kind of slow, then it would speed up. Like the pacing was super weird in the movie. Now, I do like MODOK, all right? I like, MODOK is a great character. And I think the way that they portrayed him was perfect, because how else are you going to make a talking head in live action menacing? It's darn near impossible. I don't think MODOK should have been in this film. I don't know what villain I would have put in replacement for MODOK, but personally, I wouldn't have wanted MODOK in this film. I just, like, to me, he kind of just seemed like the oddball in the movie that just didn't fit at all. I do wish there were better modifications to Cassie's suit as well. Like, not trying to be offensive, but Shorty has, like, all you do is shrink and, like, you know, like, I wanted wings or something extra to Hope's suit. Like, it was kind of, I wasn't really a big fan of her. I liked the way it looked, but I wasn't a big fan of the features to her suit. I was expecting something a little more protective since she's a kid. But, you know, they didn't really add a lot of those types of, you know, stuff. I also didn't really like some of the cheesy moments between Scott and Cassie. Like, we're gonna do this whole father-daughter hug scene in the middle of a battle against a multiversal monster. Like, why are we doing this? You know, there were just some cheesy moments where I'm like, okay, like, this is like the wrong time for this. And I get it, it's Scott Lang, and maybe it's something he would do. But to me, it came off a little too extra, a little too cheesy. Wasn't really a big fan of that as well. And the last thing that I really didn't like, I didn't like how after the battle happened with Kang, we just panned to this whole good life idea with Scott again, you know. I'm a big fan of aftermath, so I love seeing the aftermath of things. Like in Avengers Endgame, when we see the aftermath, for me, that's perfect. Even in the end of Wakanda Forever, a movie that I, you know, am not the best fan of. I like it, but it's not the best one. I love aftermaths in any movie. So not the fact that we just got to see like this random behind scene in her birthday, that, like, I wanted to see what happened right after they got out. Like, was there a time jump? Like, did Janet, you know, calculate everything in Kang's time ship to be where they exited out of the quantum realm at the same time they came in? So there's a lot of questions there as well. So those are really my cons, but all in all, I say it's a good movie. I'm not expecting this to be like a crazy, like, 10 out of 10 Civil War movie, you know? For what it was great, and I enjoyed it. And I think it's a great intro into Kang the Conqueror and Loki and Secret Invasion, and these other projects are going to further that story. So, thank you guys for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. And remember, guys, spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled, do not watch this video. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.